Let's cut through the noise for a second, brother. You've probably heard 1,000 lies about what women really want from a man. Instagram experts, fake gurus, porn, all feeding you garbage that leaves most men insecure, confused, and chasing illusions. But here's the raw truth most guys are too afraid to face. According to real psychology, not fantasy, around 90% of women do have a preference when it comes to a man's package. But it's not about size in the way you've been led to believe. It's not about being a monster in the pants. It's something far more primal and far more human. And if you're a man who's ever felt less than because of what you saw online or heard in locker rooms, this video might just snap you back into reality. We're not here to sell fairy tales. We're here to look at attraction through the lens of psychology, brutal honesty, and yeah, even Stoic wisdom. Because as Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. And understanding what actually matters to women beyond the hype is part of that mission. Not to impress them, but to master yourself. So if you're ready to stop chasing shadows and start seeing attraction for what it really is, grounded in reality, self-respect, and inner power, then stick with me. You're about to learn something most men will never understand. So, what do women really want when it comes to a man's size? I know that question alone triggers years of pressure that most of us have carried since our teenage years. You grow up hearing it in locker rooms, seeing it in adult films, reading jokes online, and you start believing this nonsense that bigger automatically means better, that if you're not packing something unreal, you're somehow less of a man. But let's pull that curtain back, because real science, not fantasy, not internet noise, says something completely different. According to research, including a well-known study from the University of California, the overwhelming majority of women actually prefer something pretty damn normal. No, not tiny, but not some freak show size either. Most women said they were most satisfied with a penis that's about 6 to 6.5 inches long when erect, and just slightly thicker than average. That's it. Clean, proportional, healthy looking, not extreme, not oversized, just normal, natural, balanced. And that alone crushes a massive myth. Because here's the catch. What matters to women isn't just the size. It's how it fits within the experience, how it feels. Physically, yes, but also energetically. Comfort, confidence, emotional safety. They're not measuring you with a ruler. They're reading your presence. And more often than not, it's the guy obsessed with being bigger who's insecure in other ways. And women sense that instantly. This is where the Stoics had it right, even centuries ago. They didn't care about what you have. They cared about how you carry what you have. And this is no different. You want to talk about being attractive? Start with being centered, clean, grounded, present. That speaks way louder than a few extra centimeters ever will. So yeah, the research is clear. Women prefer what feels real, not what looks exaggerated. They're not searching for a porn star. They're searching for something and someone that feels genuine. And maybe it's time we stop chasing myths and start owning what we've got. But here's the thing. Size isn't the full picture, not even close. That's just the surface. And if you stop there, you're missing the bigger game. Because what women actually respond to goes way deeper than anatomy. A lot of guys don't realize this, but what turns a woman on, what makes her want you, changes depending on the context she's in. Is she looking for a long-term relationship? something meaningful with depth and emotional connection? Or is she in a phase where she's just after something casual, physical, with no strings attached? Because that matters a lot. Studies in evolutionary psychology and human behavior make this painfully clear. Women's preferences shift depending on their emotional state, hormonal cycle, and even where they are in life. In a one-night stand scenario, a woman might lean more toward visual or physical traits, maybe something bold, adventurous, even primal. But when it comes to choosing a man for a serious relationship, something stable, the game changes completely. Now she's paying attention to how you carry yourself, how present you are, how safe you make her feel, how grounded you are as a man. And this is where guys get lost. They obsess over the physical, thinking attraction is all about looks or size or some perfect body, but completely ignore the emotional and psychological layer, which, honestly, is where the real power is. Women aren't just scanning for flesh. They're scanning for vibe, for energy, for intention. You ever wonder why the guy who doesn't look like much still gets attention from women? It's not black magic. It's presence. It's confidence. It's the way he makes her feel, not by trying to impress her, but by being rooted in who he is. And this is where Stoicism hits hard. Stoicism teaches you to build a fortress within, to develop emotional control, mental discipline, and clarity of purpose. And women, whether they're aware of it or not, pick up on that. They're drawn to men who aren't tossed around by emotion, men who lead themselves first, men who don't chase approval. They embody value. That kind of energy can't be faked, and no size can compensate for the lack of it. So yeah, while the world's out here screaming about abs and inches and jawlines, the truth is more raw and more human. Women want to feel something real, and what they feel often has nothing to do with what's between your legs, and everything to do with what's behind your eyes. That's the part most men never master. But if you do, you become the exception. It's way deeper than just looks, man. Let's be real. We've been conditioned to think attraction is all about abs, jawlines, and what you're packing. But when you strip away the Instagram filters and the porn-fed fantasies, what actually pulls a woman toward a man goes beneath the surface, from a psychological point of view. And this isn't theory, this is hardwired biology. Women are tuned to look for certain cues, not just visual appeal, but signs of health, of reliability, of safety. And yes, believe it or not, the way your dick looks plays a role in that. We're talking about basic indicators of genetic fitness, cleanliness, symmetry, hygiene. These aren't just hygiene tips your mom gave you growing up. These are subconscious signals. When a woman sees that you take care of yourself, that you're clean, well-groomed, proportional, it triggers something primal in her brain, something that says, this man's body could produce strong, healthy offspring. It's not about being a supermodel. It's about being a man who respects his body. Because that's what women really sense. Not the superficial layer, but the discipline underneath it. Now, pause for a second. Think about what that really means. Because this is where most guys fail without even knowing it. They focus on size, but ignore self-respect. They chase extremes, but forget the basics. You want to be attractive to women? Start by being the kind of man who takes care of his space, including his own damn body. That's not vanity, that's virtue, that's order. And the Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." You think like a disciplined man. You live like one. You look like one. Stoicism wasn't about suppressing everything. It was about living in alignment. Clean body, clean habits, clean mind. You show up like that, women notice, even if they can't explain it. Because real attraction isn't something you buy. It's something you build. Through how you carry yourself. Through the way you walk into a room. And yeah, even through how you treat the parts of you no one's supposed to see until the lights go off. So stop obsessing over perfection. Focus on presentation, precision, personal discipline. That's what leaves a lasting impression. And no, that doesn't come from your size. It comes from your standards. All right, drop a comment finishing this sentence. What women really want is keep it real, no fluff. I want to hear your take, straight from the gut. And if Stoicism has helped you see the truth behind attraction, say that too. Let's get this conversation going, brother. Let me tell you something most guys don't want to hear, but need to. Confidence and connection matter more than whatever numbers you're obsessing over. Period. When women were actually asked, and I'm talking real surveys, real psychology here, about what truly turns them on, most didn't say size. They said things like confidence, cleanliness, presence, kindness. Not the fake nice guy kind, but the kind that comes from a grounded masculine core and emotional connection. That feeling of actually being seen, heard, understood. Why? Because a woman doesn't just want to be touched. She wants to be felt. She wants to feel safe with you. Safe to let go. Safe to surrender. That doesn't come from your abs or your bank account or whatever fantasy version of yourself you think you need to become. It comes from how you show up as a man, unapologetically, fully, and with real presence. And here's the brutal truth. You can have the perfect body, a porn star dick, and still be forgettable, still be invisible, still be another name she deletes the next morning. Why? Because if you're not there with her, mentally, emotionally, energetically, she'll feel that. And once a woman feels that emptiness in you, it's over. You become noise, background, another guy who doesn't get it, the guys who stand out, the ones she remembers. It's not the biggest, it's the deepest. That's what real confidence is. Not being loud, not showing off, not performing. It's knowing exactly who the hell you are. It's silence with weight. It's eye contact that doesn't flinch. It's not needing to prove anything, because your presence already proves everything. And let's not forget hygiene. Bro, I can't stress this enough. If you can't keep yourself clean, groomed, and smelling like a damn man, you're already playing with a handicap. If you can't respect yourself, why would she? That's not superficial. That's a signal. A woman will pick up on that instantly. It's primal. You want to know what really leaves a mark? It's when she feels safe, not because you're soft, but because you're solid, because your mind isn't fragile, because your energy isn't desperate, because she senses deep down that you don't need her validation to be a man. And that right there, that's stoic power. A stoic man doesn't chase approval. He embodies standards. He doesn't try to control a woman's desire. He controls how he shows up, no matter what. He doesn't live to impress. He lives with intention. That's what women crave, even if they don't know how to name it. So stop trying to impress her with tricks. Start being the kind of man whose presence removes the need to try it all. That's the kind of man she'll feel. That's the kind of man she'll remember. Look, it's never just about the penis. Forget that nonsense. What really matters is the whole vibe you bring into the room, the energy, the way you make her feel. I'm gonna be blunt. Movies, porn, and all that flashy adult content have screwed with our heads big time. They paint this crazy picture of what's normal, and it's mostly bullshit. They sell you fantasies about size and performance like it's some magic ticket to success with women. But here's the hard truth nobody talks about. In real life, most women don't give a damn about those ridiculous expectations. What they want, what they really want, is simple. They want to feel comfortable. They want to feel connected. They want the experience to feel right in their bones, not like some scripted performance. It's about trust. It's about presence. And yeah, it's about how you carry yourself in those private moments. Does she feel safe? Does she feel like she can drop her walls? Does she feel respected? That's the currency that actually counts. No woman wakes up dreaming about a dick that's 2 inches longer. What she remembers is how you made her feel, whether she could be vulnerable, whether you were there with her, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That's the brutal reality you need to swallow, because chasing size or trying to live up to some porn-fueled ideal is a dead end. It's a distraction from the stuff that really moves the needle. You want to stand out? Focus on the vibe you give off. Be the man who makes her feel something real. That's where power lives, not in inches, but in presence. And if you're wondering how that ties into Stoicism, it's exactly this. The Stoic man isn't obsessed with illusions or fantasies. He's rooted in reality. He knows what matters and what doesn't. He understands that external things like size or performance are outside his real control. What he does control is how he shows up, calm, grounded, and authentic. That mindset, that's magnetic, so stop wasting energy chasing what's out of your hands. Start building the vibe that no woman can forget. All right, here's the real secret nobody wants to admit, but everyone needs to know. It's communication. Yeah, that simple word that most guys either ignore or totally mess up. Look, you can have every physical advantage in the world, the perfect body, the ideal size. But if you can't talk openly, if you can't really listen, you're dead in the water. Women crave that connection more than anything else. They want to feel seen, truly heard, and respected. That emotional safety, it's everything. I'm not talking about some awkward rehearsed talk or trying to sound like a dating coach. I mean real, raw conversations, the kind where you put your ego aside, drop the act, and actually tune into her. No filters, no bullshit. Because here's the brutal truth. When a woman feels emotionally safe, when she knows she won't be judged or dismissed, her whole experience changes. Intimacy goes from a physical act to something deeper, something memorable. And guess what? That feeling can blow size, looks, and performance out of the water. Think about it. How many times have you heard stories about couples who say the connection is what keeps the fire alive, long after the honeymoon phase is gone? That's communication, that's presence, that's respect. And yeah, this ties right back to Stoicism, because a Stoic man masters himself first. He doesn't let his ego run the show. He controls his emotions enough to listen and respond with clarity, not with defensiveness or insecurity. He doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. He just is there, steady and grounded. That steadiness makes a woman feel safe, and safety is the foundation of attraction that lasts. So if you want to win in this game, forget the gimmicks and the size obsession. Start talking, start listening, Start making her feel like the most important person in the room. That's where true power lives. So now that you've got the inside scoop on what 90% of women secretly crave and why Stoicism gives you the real edge, don't stop here. I've got another video coming up that dives even deeper. 13 female psychology facts that make her instantly attracted. Go ahead, click that video right there on your screen. It's packed with raw truths you don't want to miss if you want to level up your game even more. And before you go, make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, because here we keep it brutally honest and real. Drop a like if this opened your eyes and leave a comment sharing what surprised you most today. Stay sharp, stay stoic, and I'll see you in the next video.